got my partner to the land. Adulting, man, it's nice. Adulting just made me rethink when he told me to come like a cloud. Maybe that was meant to save me.
Right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hello. I'm about to share my screen so that we can get started, so we can talk about building your legacy as an entrepreneur. So, I didn't have time to get glammed up, but I always believe in showing my face in any place, right? So let me get my screen turned on so that we can get started today. All right. And let me share. Okay, this is real life true entrepreneurship. This is been going. This is my last call. Okay, my first call was at 5 a.m. Okay, let's duly note that. All right. So, all my YouTubers, everybody on my live stream, we are here and we are about to get straight into scaling, empowering, impacting, and building with me, Mashi Epting. So, great evening, everyone. I'm Mashi Epting. I'm a certified life purpose coach, certified therapeutic recreation specialist. I'm a master level graduate. I'm an accredited investor, visionary entrepreneur, system architect, industry disruptor in the tax. I'm a mentor and I am a business strategist. Okay. And I'm all about learning and growing and teaching at every new level that I'm reaching. Okay. But more than titles, I am here because I do believe that this is not about just building your income and chasing a bag. Okay. You need to learn how to build true infrastructure, all right? And you need to build options for your lineage, okay? And that's what we're here for, okay? So we're going to show you tonight how to make your business not just a hustle, but actual a holding company, okay? From short-term money to actual long-term wealth that your children and your children's children and community can benefit from, all right? So let's get straight into some entrepreneurship wealth statistics. All right. So we're going to set the stage with a few facts. 67% of Americans don't have an estate plan. So that means most families are one accident away from chaos. All right. 80% of Black owned businesses fail in the first 18 months. And it's not because their ideas are bad, but it's because the structure is missing. Okay. 90% of generational wealth is lost by the third generation. So just take a moment and imagine working hard your whole life only for your grandchildren to have absolutely nothing left. Okay. So that's not what we're going to be doing anymore. All right. So, and this is why tonight matters, because we are truly here to break that cycle and we are here to shift from survival to actually strategy. And before we do that, we have to understand what wealth is and the different ways that we can obtain wealth. Okay. Because when I say wealth, I'm not just talking about money. Wealth is infrastructure. Wealth is intellectual property. Wealth is influence. Wealth is impact. Okay. Um, it looks like businesses that generate revenue without you, offers that's going to bring in income while you sleep. It looks like data. It looks like systems, right? That can create equity within your company. And it looks like partnerships that actually grow you as a person and as a business owner. Okay. So partnerships should always be strategically aligned and they should always be purposeful, right? To multiply your reach. Okay. Listen, money fades, system scales. And that's the true difference between being rich and being wealthy. Okay. So, some common entrepreneur setbacks that we're going to discuss tonight. And we're going to be honest, okay? Because most entrepreneurs struggle because they rely on one income stream. They don't have the insurance, the legal setup, or systems, or even a nest egg, right? I don't know if you follow me on social media, but today I woke up to $19,089 and 10 cents being taken out of my account being levied, right? Now, what would be going on? This is the fourth quarter if I only depended on the money that I made the first 90 days of the year, okay? What Beyonce said, I spent that money fast ago. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be prepared, all right, for any entrepreneur setbacks, no matter how big or small. All right. So think about that legal setup and systems. You need to they avoid hiring or investing out of fear, right? How do you think it feels? It's the last quarter of the year, and I'm going to talk about me. I'm already speaking from the Big Mashi, right? I on board 2 new people after firing and cutting staff all year long. At the end of the year, I on board 2 new people. I'm gonna tell you what any great company and any great entrepreneur will tell you, right? If you can't do what you would do mid-year in December or at the beginning of the year, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing good enough. That's why I said, right? If you can't do what you're doing at the end of the year, what you need to do at the end of the year, right? If you can do this in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, right? You should be able to do this at the end of the year too, right? So just like I'm able to hire and fire throughout the year, I should be able to hire in December, right? That shows good company growth. All right. That shows good company culture, right? That shows good company management. All right. So when we're talking about entrepreneurial setbacks, we got to be prepared. Okay. And we cannot be avoiding hiring out of fear. Okay. I trust that these new hires are it's gonna take me higher in my career. Okay. So that's how you got to think like that, okay? They run without proper bookkeeping, bank accounts, or tax planning, right? If I didn't have my proper bookkeeping together, right, in accounting and bank accounts, I would have not known whether or not I can hire or fire somebody and they work at their skills, and what I wouldn't know. I'll still be winging it, okay? But there's only so much you can do with winging it. Okay, and there's only so much wind that's gonna flow daily in order for you to wing it, right? You gotta have some resting places. You gotta know where you're going. You gotta have some type of direction, all right? So you need to have proper bookkeeping, bank accounts, and tax planning, which are common entrepreneur setbacks. So the real truth, most businesses do not fail because it's a bad idea. They fail because the foundation is weak and they don't do what they need to do and surround themselves with the people who or build the systems, right, that can sustain them and propel them. All right. But no worries. Tonight we fixing that. All right. So the first way we fix it is by building it. All right. So the key to wealth isn't doing 100 different things. It's learning how to multiply one skill into multiple streams. What do I get? Oh, make sure you're a jack of all trades. But everything is gonna lead right back into what? What Macy stands for, right? And that's wealth and wellness. All right. Everything comes back into this. So it's easy for me to add on to it because I have my core strong. All right. So in my tax business, right, this one skill, taxes, I was able to turn it into tax preparation services, training programs, licensing deals, software partnerships, mentorship, books, conferences, more, right? It's a whole complete financial group, credit, lending, funding, right? Just from this one skill. And that is how you multiply your income, right? Not by just going willy-nilly here, there, everywhere, right? You get that one thing and you know how can I cut this up into multiple different streams, right? Of revenue, right? So that's how the wealthy stay wealthy, right? They don't reinvent themselves every year. They reinvent their offers. We just repackage it, right? We just repackage it. And the thing about it is, if I can do this from one skill, you can too. That's the best thing. All right. So after we build it, we are going to look to protect it. All right. That's a legal and insurance strategy. A business without protection is like a house without doors. one storm, one lawsuit, one accident, one levy, okay? AKA this morning, one levy away and you're gone and you're wiped out. All I could think about was, dang, thank you, God, not only did I have the money, but thank you, God, that I went ahead, right, and practiced my other skill set with funding and credit, right? And boom, I already had that replacement already set in place, right? It can already be there. See that obedience? And you see how me was being willing to open up and learn and add a new skill set, right, to my already skill set. I'm just, you gotta be, you gotta, be willing and be ready. But anyway, protect it. A business without protection is like a house without doors. One storm, one lawsuit, one accident, one levy, gone. You're gonna need your LLCs. You're gonna need your contracts. You're gonna need your insurance, your life insurance coverage, right? You're gonna need automated systems that safeguard your revenue. You're gonna need funding partners, right? You're gonna need personal and business credit, right? You're going to need this. You're going to need a nest egg, right? Anything can happen at any given time, all right? Fortune 500 companies don't wait until they're too big, right? They don't wait until they're big to protect themselves. They protect themselves first so they can get big. All right. Do you really think that somebody seeing you on the come up, on the rise, and they're bigger than you, right, is going to let you prevail or win over them or dominate over them? That's why you got to be protected. You know the moves that you need to make. You know how big that dream is, that harvest God has put, in your heart, that gave you, be stewardship over, right? You need to protect it. You need to protect it, okay? And you do it now. All right. So protection isn't an expense. It is the foundation of profit. When you are protected, you can operate so much boldly, so much more securely, freely as an entrepreneur on its pursuit of wealth. All right. So, but all that comes with a mindset shift, y'all. It don't matter what skill, what system, what resource, what network, none of that you connected to, none of that that's accessible to you, none of this matters if you do not have the mindset that you're about to turn this $1 million ideal into $1 million business. Okay? If you don't have that mindset that you don't scale from hustle anymore, you scale from systems, you're not going to make it. You're not going to get it, right? You're not going to feel it. You're not going to be passionate about it, right? You're not going to have that endurance you need to maintain, to prevail, to go on, right? To rise level after level, to requalify, right? At different levels, okay? So you need this mindset shift. This is the most important thing you have to do. You have to be fed up. You have to know that whatever you've been taught, whatever belief system, right, that you've been given, that you have made your norm, okay? You have to look around and realize and ask yourself, is this enough? Is this enough for me? Is this satisfying me? Not if it's satisfying my mom, my child, my man, my woman. Is it satisfying me? Right? And if you know that it's not satisfying you, it's only one option you have to make, and that's a mindset shift. And that's saying that this is not enough, right? I can be more. And you're going to constantly be seeking that more out and that guidance out, right? And you're going to be constantly praying to God, right? To not just give you more physical and financial things, right? You're going to be asking God to give you more power, more spirit, right? More dominion, more territory. You're going to be speaking more in a spiritual sense, right? That's going to come to a literal awakening, that makes sense to you, right? So you're just going to have a desire to be more and do more, right? And to be respected and long for that, right? And so that's when you know that you got that generational wealth calling on you. You got that basically I just call it, it's a deliverance and servitude, servant leadership aura on you, right? Because that's what you're going to do. You're going to break down and unlearn any belief system, right, that you already have, and you're going to constantly be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? And you're gonna not break down, right? And you're not gonna break down completely in every breakthrough. You're gonna understand that every breakdown comes with a new breakthrough, right? So you're gonna know that you got to go through the little B to get to the big B. You know, you got to go through a little B to get to a big B. And anytime you feel like you're going through a little B breakdown, you know that it's a bigger breakthrough, right? If you don't break down, right? You got to be mature enough to handle the next level, okay? So if you're going all sporadic, being mad, calling on anger, calling on depression, calling on defeat, calling on all these feelings that stop you from going after the desires in your heart, right? Or the harvest that God showed you that's for you, right? Then you know that maybe you're not ready for the next level. And what you're praying to God for, right? God don't want you to mess it over it, right? Because you still can't get over this anger problem with this type of people. And when you get to this next level, it's all them type of people, right? So how you cannot deal with God people if you're supposed to be a leader of God people, right? So it's just different things, right? We got to think about that mindset shift. So anyway, you got to think legacy and not labor. You got to be willing to delegate to elevate. You have to be able to, replace transactions and always think about transformation. What can this opportunity do to transform me, right? What can this partnership do to transform me, right? If I add this service, if I add this product, right? What is this going to do for somebody's life? Transformative, right? So you will start realizing how powerful you are then, right? And you'll start operating that greater. And you'll want to be surrounded by people who only operate at that level of frequency as well, because that matters, okay? So I know we've been taught to grind until we're exhausted, but wealth does not come from exhaustion at all. All right. So now we're going to learn how to pass it on. Once we learn these new skill sets, new habits, new mindsets, it's important now that we're able to pass it on by documenting it, by training our heirs, training our business partners, right? So that we can make sure we transfer with power, right? We want to make sure we're transferring knowledge, wisdom, systems, right? Workflows, all right? Operational manuals, okay? Agreements, okay? And this is truly how you stop chasing money and start building wealth, all right? So just remember that the brand, everything should be transferable, right? And your impact should also be generational. I love that. So let's look at some investments that protect and yield. All right. So smart entrepreneurs invest with the tax code in mind. That is true. And I always say, I wish I knew now what I knew then. Right. So that's why I'm always trying to just spill it out, because I just wish I knew now. Think about, you need to make sure that as an entrepreneur, right? This is one day, no matter what day it is, you're not going to be able to work. You're not going to want to work, right? You're not going to want to actively earn your income. It's okay now, right? But at one day, you're going to want this active income that you got to work for to come passively, all right? And that's where your self-employment IRAs come in, your solo 401ks, your alternative investments, your dividend payer accounts, right? Your defined benefit plans, your oil and gas investments, right? Your liquidity funds, all of those information. You should want to know about that type of stuff as an entrepreneur, because those are the retirement vehicles that protect and yield us, right? We can use those retirement vehicles, store our money, get our earn compound interest, right? And keep it protected from any type of seizure that may happen or levy, right? Because in order to get into these type of accounts, outside of a self-RA and solo 401k, you have to build in different financial trusts and to protect the money. So it's all designed and vehicle for us high performing, high earning entrepreneurs to protect us and build this type of generational wealth. But this is a conversation that we have to have. And these are the type of rooms that we have to get in, right? Once our net worth goes up, and if we want to keep it up. All right. So the tax code isn't your enemy, it's your playbook. And if you don't learn it, you will always be funding someone else's future instead of your own. All right. And let's do the recap. So you're going to build it, multiply your skill into scalable income streams, protect it, secure your business legally and financially. You are going to shift it, the mindset, change your mindset from hustle to holdings, pass it on, document it, train your heirs, and transfer with power. All right. And we're going to stop chasing money tonight and we're going to start building wealth. I'm going to go over some of our upcoming company events, right? Because this not just start and stop here on Tuesday. We have a team of leaders who are very competent, right? In their leadership abilities, in their financial status, their professional status, right? Their host calls all week long, right? For not only the people inside a complete nation, but for everyone like today. So we got the Wednesday rundown, right? That's Wednesday at noon with Jennifer Harris and Jillian Prophet. We have Breaking the Walls, and that's every Thursday with Mark. That's every Thursday evening, same time as this call, right? Breaking the Walls. That's Thursday evening with Power Mindset and Power. Then we have the Lunch and Earn on Fridays at noon. Okay, listen, you can register for any of our events at cttsacademy.com, I do believe, or you can always text us at 832-900-4992. And every morning that we get up Monday through Friday, thank the Lord, we have a women's call that starts at 5:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, 6:15 Eastern Standard Time. And we have a men's call Monday through Friday, right? Led by Mark at 6:30 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, okay? So those are our daily events, and we have started our 6-week life purpose coaching program. But you can visit and get information on this program at MashiLPC.com, and you can enroll in the next cohort that's going to start in January, okay? And I do have a discount code. I believe it's Mashi, Mashi 35 for 35% off, okay? Now, if you have any questions about any of our ongoing opportunities, because the doors of success is literally always open here with Complete Nation, you can always text us at 832-900-4992, okay? And we can get you started with your generational wealth blueprint. You can also book a link to a one-on-one clarity call with any of us executives. You can do a free tax office setup with us. We can do your CRM automation walkthrough, and so much more when it comes to anything that comes to business, funding, lending, taxes. We are here for you. We are your go-to community, okay? You can visit us online at www.ctts.tax. Be sure you are following me on Instagram at I am Mashi Epstein and the company at Complete Tax Training Software. Listen, tonight was jam-packed with all of the best gems. I hope that everyone was able to learn and grow with me tonight. Do anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Anybody? Perfect. All right. Well, thank y'all for joining me. And I look forward to seeing y'all next Tuesday. And if you're a woman, I'll see you in the morning at 5:15 for sure. Great night.